Let's talk some bracketology, and for that, we welcome in the one and only CBS Sports bracketologist Jerry Palm and 24/7 Sports Director of Recruiting Adam Finkelstein. Jerry, let's get up to speed here. Take us through your last four in and your first four out heading into Saturday.
Yeah, the last four in are going to be New Mexico, Colorado, Texas A&M, which got a big win today, and then Pitt. And the first four out, Virginia, Seton Hall, Ohio State, and Indiana State.
We were going to be robbed of Robbie Avila, Larry Nerd. We're going to be robbed of him not in the tournament. Adam, what's your reaction to Jerry's updated bracketology?
Well, I know better than to question Jerry's math, so I celebrate it. That's all I do. It's really interesting. I'm always perplexed to see if the committee is going to be interested in narratives. I think Indiana State is, although the numbers don't look their way, you can make a case, and the NCAA committee always finds a way to come up with these dramatic storylines. So like, do you find Richard versus Rick Pitino in Dayton? Does Indiana State somehow make the field? So those are going to be some of the storylines that I'm going to be watching. But I think, as I said, Jerry's numbers, obviously, the history speaks for itself.
Are you in disagreement anything here? Does Virginia, are you okay with leaving out Virginia?
I think I think it's very possible that they get in. I mean, you're basically talking about, if I'm reading this right, the last team out. And if it comes down to the semifinals of the ACC tournament, I mean, that is a really fine line, given that both of those teams, Pittsburgh and Virginia, made it to that same level. So it's going to be really, really interesting. I think to keep them out would be certainly one of the biggest storylines. Pittsburgh and Virginia out. That would be a surprise to some, but I think Jeff Capel's team has really played well, and I hope for their sake they get in. And the faith that the Pittsburgh athletic department has shown in Capel is really being rewarded. So I'm hoping he comes out on the right side of the bubble.
Well, the one lesson you can take away from this is make your free throws, kids. Make your free throws. And sometimes that is the difference in basketball games. Sometimes it is. Make a free throw and the game's over. Plenty of upsets on Friday during conference tournaments. Jerry, who's your biggest winner of the day?
It's Texas A&M. They got a big win over Kentucky. They really needed something like that. I've got them in the bracket now because of it. It's this is a team that has really done what it needs to do to get into the NCAA tournament. They have to overcome 5 quad 3 losses, and I think they've managed to do that right now. So, we'll see how it sorts out on Sunday. But I think that's a team that has done what it needs to do to get into the tournament as of today.
Adam, for you, who's your biggest winner? Because, the SEC is sort of laying down. What's going on?
Well, I think this was a big day for Mississippi State. I think they gave themselves some breathing room. They were one of Jerry's last 4 teams in coming into the day. Obviously, they have that commanding win over Tennessee. Chris Jans's club has been doing on the defensive end of the floor. They're a top 20 team defensively. They've really hung their hat on their ability to take away the three-point line. And if you look at what they did to Tennessee today, it was exactly that. Tennessee just 8 of 24 from behind the arc. Give them their best net win of the season. And you've also got to talk about Josh Hubbard. Josh Hubbard is the best freshman in the country that people aren't talking about. He had 18 points today, but over his last 7 games, this guy's averaging 26 points per game. He's just 5'10". So he has been explosive and certainly one of the best freshmen in the country.
I mean, you talk about all the seeds, top seeds going down around the nation. Look at the SEC. Florida takes down Alabama. Mississippi State, as we just mentioned, takes down Tennessee. Texas A&M takes down Kentucky. Auburn taking care of South Carolina. I mean, this is Auburn's tournament to win. So we'll see what happens here as they're set to play their automatic bid, and they will play their championship on Sunday. All right, as for a team who disappointed on this day, plenty of top seeds, as we mentioned, lost in a conference tournament game, including Tennessee and Arizona. Jerry, who's the biggest loser on this day?
Yeah, I had picked Tennessee. Arizona's a very good choice as well. Tennessee, though, was in line for the number 1 or the 4th number 1 seed. And then by losing, gave that up. North Carolina's going to get that now. And with Arizona's loss. It's really an open door for them. So I think that Tennessee had a shot at being a number 1 seed. Now they'll be a 2. I guess the nice thing for them is they'll probably be closer to home than they would have been in the West region as the 4th number 1. But Tennessee, gave away an opportunity for a number 1 seed.
Adam, Tennessee, not a great day for Tennessee basketball. Who else in your mind disappointed you the most?
Well, I think the team that had the most disappointing end was Ohio State. Jake Diebler has done an incredible job since he took over. When Chris Holtmann was let go, this team was 14-11 and 4-10 in Big Ten play. Very next game, they came out and beat Purdue, one of the consensus top 3 teams in the country. They lost the next game at Minnesota, and then they went on a 4-game winning streak to wrap up the regular season. Come out and beat Iowa in the opening round of the Big Ten tournament. All of a sudden, they look like they could be a team that makes the NCAA tournament, accomplishing almost the impossible. 39 minutes into this game today, they were winning against Illinois. They were 1 minute away from presumably a spot in the field. And so to lose that game when they were just on the edge of making history, really doing the impossible under Jake Diebler, I think is just crushing for the group of guys. But it doesn't take away from what they've accomplished over the last 3 weeks. As I said, Jake Diebler has done an incredible job. I know there's a big sentiment there that Ohio State should try and keep him on the bench, but I'll tell you what, Jake Diebler has shown he's a head coach, and whether it's Ohio State, probably not, or somewhere else, he will be a head coach next season.
Jerry, I'm curious, does the committee hold that against a program if they fire a head coach late in the season, an interim coach, does well, as you saw Jake Diebler do before this game, losing to Illinois close and falling to 6-2 since taking over? Is that something they hold against the program?
No, it's not a factor at all. They're really concerned about what did you do? What did the team do? The team has results. Ohio State finished strong. They needed to get consideration. I don't think they finished strong enough to get in, but it's really the team and the results. The coach, changing coaches in the middle of the season, whatever part of the season it is, isn't really a factor as far as the committee's concerned.
All right, 14 auto bids already handed out. We've got 13 more auto bids on Saturday, a very, very busy day. Jerry, what's the Saturday game you're looking forward to watching? I know there's plenty of them, but if you got to circle one, which one is going to be the one you're watching for?
The ACC title game where you could have a bid stealer. If North Carolina gets beat, that's a team that's going into the NCAA tournament that probably would not otherwise. So there's going to be some pretty nervous people out there watching that game.
Adam, how about that? I mean, we got NC State and North Carolina, the Tobacco Road rivals, clashing. And we just saw them play last week. So we're getting a rematch of that. That's going to be a great game to watch. What's the game you're watching on Saturday?
Yeah, I'm real interested in the Big East tournament because you have the defending national champions against the defending Big East champions. And when UConn won the national championship last year, there were plenty of Marquette players who had a few things to say about it publicly. And although Dan Hurley and Shaka Smart have a ton of respect for each other, and that's really what comes up in the media likes to talk about the rivalry between Rick Pitino and Dan Hurley. And because it's a little bit of a love fest between him and Shaka, they haven't necessarily caught up on the fact that these players, there's a very healthy rivalry between these programs. And it's leaked into some of the local press, more so the national press. As I said, it really dates back to when UConn won that national championship. And the Marquette players were saying, well, hey, we were the better team and we proved it. So UConn has been, shall we say, hungry for those two games this season. Now, this is a Marquette team that's very different. Tyler Kolek outside of the lineup. Obviously, he's hurt. You're talking about the best point guard in the country. Does he somehow make a miraculous recovery? Knowing Tyler since he was a freshman in high school, I will tell you that I am sure he will try. The doctor will have to tell him it is absolutely impossible. But I think there's a lot of fascinating storylines at play tomorrow in the Big East Championship.
Indeed, because that first game they played, UConn hammered them by 28. A much closer game the next time around. They won by 7, but we saw Cam Spencer chirping at Tyler Kolek and going back and forth, and Dan Hurley had to hold him back. And we saw that. We saw the drama in the Big East tournament. That's going to be a good one to watch. Always conference championship finals are good to watch, and, of course, an auto bid on the line. And perhaps, like Jerry said, we might have a little bid thief in NC State. We will find out on Saturday. Jerry Palm, Adam Finkelstein here on CBS Sports HQ. Men, thank you. And coming up on Saturday on CBS, projected 1 seed Purdue taking on Wisconsin in the Big Ten semifinals at 1 p.m. Eastern, followed by Illinois and Nebraska in the second Big Ten semi. Then at 6 Eastern, the Mountain West Conference Championship game on CBS and streaming live on Paramount+.